All right, hi, what's good? My name is Abiola Adra. Give me an honor to welcome you to another episode of the podcast. If this is your first time, I have with me a beautiful, beautiful lady. But before I do the introduction of who she is and what she does, I'd like to ask how you're doing. How have you been? How is the Friday coming along? And how is your weekend? I'm looking basically because for me, I have a special announcement today, right? I feel like I don't want to ruin the surprise, right? For people that do not really know what we have, we're trying to prove ourselves first. So the podcast is called Shaking Tables with AA, where we talk about young people's stuff and our transition into adulthood. Basically, that's like the fun part. But instead of the way life will give you bars, we're gonna make it like a bit softer and a bit more fun. So we hope that you stick around. If 5 minutes in you really do not like what you hear, you're free to walk away. In fact, I am guaranteeing you that I'm gonna give you your data back. Just reach out to me. You understand the vibe? Anyways, we have this new thing that we do where in order to build the community, we want to make sure that we're not just speaking into empty air, we're not just speaking to just the atmosphere basically. So we want to build that active community. So we are most active on Twitter. When we put out the tweet for the official podcast release, please, at any point, if we say anything that you really like, that tickles your fancy, or that you basically disagree with, basically, you can just hit pause on the podcast that is playing, and then just go to the Twitter, quote with your thought, because we find that most of the time, if you feel like, you're going to reach out later, you're going to make that tweet later, or make that suggestion later, you most likely would forget. So feel free to pause. It's your space, it's your home, it's your phone. You understand? We are privileged to have you listening to us. You understand the vibe? Right, but that said, today we're talking about mental awareness and whatnot. I want to let my guest introduce herself, and then we can get into the podcast. So, Alpha, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Why you being shy? Come on.
Okay, I'm going to take that again.
Hey, feel at home.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chika, and I'm a psychologist, a mental health advocate, and today we're going to be talking about mental health, and we're going to be debunking some myths about it. So,
what you say is you are a psychologist?
Yes,
like you're a clinical psychologist.
I'm not yet a clinical psychologist. I'm just a psychologist.
So let's start from that.
Okay.
And to kind of make everything really fun so that you don't go anywhere, because we're not going to be nerding out on you like that. You know how people say that, any small thing I have OCD, or any small thing, I have, mental illness is worrying me.
We're here to shake the table.
Exactly. So we want to come from a place of a more informed point of view, basically, so that everything is everything just goes Siri where you get right. So what's the difference between a psychologist and a clinical psychologist?
Okay, so basically we have different parts of psychology, right? So a psychologist is like, you study psychology, you could be a psychologist, or maybe a clinical psychologist is still a psychologist.
Feel free, you can hold on to the mic.
Okay, but then a clinical psychologist basically is someone that they have their masters in clinical psychology specifically.
So what's the difference between psychology and okay, so you're saying that clinical psychology is a part of psychology. So
yes.
What other forms do we have animal psychology? I said that as a joke. I hope not.
It's possible, but we don't.
Okay.
So we have a lot of types of psychology. We have industrial psychology.
Okay.
We have forensic psychology. We have counseling psychology, which is still different from clinical psychology. I do. So we have we have engineering psychology.
Sorry?
Yeah, we have engineering psychology.
Is it that? Well, okay. let me explain what that means to you people. Engineers, you are so fucked up that they literally had to create a field in psychology to handle your mess. I'm just joking, but go ahead.
Okay, so basically, engineers work on designs and other things. So basically, they're trying to check how can this kind of design affect human beings and all those things. That's just a little insight on that, right? So they have a lot.
So something that I do, and I'm sure she's been a big fan of the podcast, by the way. And something that I do that I know you that we know of it is we kind of like tell you backstory as to how we met, right?
Okay.
So tell them, tell the internet how.
Okay, so
you
Adura,
got
so
to
a
know.
fine girl online.
Guys, don't whine yourself. Who is?
Okay, so we basically met on Instagram, yeah, a few years back.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was during lockdown. So we started talking, we started having conversations and all that, and I think that's as much as I can remember.
So let me see if I can offer a bit more detail.
Okay.
But so there's this chick. Picture this. There's this chick on Instagram that she's saying, "Oh, I went to this company to enlighten them about mental awareness, or I went to this place to teach them." And there's videos. It's not like just cap. Like I'm like, wait, that's a real thing in this country. Like that was the first thing that like wait, is that a real thing that people actually, there are companies that their work ethic is so fucked up that they had to and I'm not joking, right? I might sound like sarcastic, but that was how I got to know about Chika. And I'm like, oh, let me see, she might be fun, right? And I reached out to her and I saw that she's fun.
Am I?
No, people that know me already, I had the joke. I was just I'm trying to prove myself. I'm a very good person.
Yeah.
I don't need therapy. So
You don't have to prove that.
I'm just saying because you can say, oh, sarcasm is a coping mechanism. So he jokes a lot because it's coming from a place of trauma.
It's sad inside.
Right. It's dead inside. Right, but yeah, that's basically the backstory. And today we'll be debunking a number of things that basically people say that, oh, okay, OCD. I know we've talked about it briefly a couple of 10, 20 episodes ago, but this is like a more informed conversation basically. So let me start. Let me ask from the very first one.
Okay.
People are quick to disguise terrible characters or terrible attitudes into mental illnesses, and as a psychologist or somebody that has some level of knowledge in that field, how do you differentiate that? Oh, this person is just throwing in some fancy term to explain their terrible character, right? And I'll give you an example. I'll give you a further example. It's just like people saying that, oh, I act this type of way because this is my moon sign. I act this type of way because people that are born in April are meant to act this type of way. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm not going to go into that conversation. But the idea is people are very quick. And the funny thing is that you discover that there are words for this particular, there's like a definitive term. Like very recently, I just heard of the word trauma bonding. I never knew there was such a thing as trauma bonding. There's all this gatekeeping, vilifying. And this is not to say I don't understand English. I went to school. But there's just some things that I did not know of. And it's not like it doesn't happen, but because of there's now a term to it, people are quick to saying, oh, I am this, I am that. So please, as a psychologist, when do you know that this person is just capping?
Okay, so basically it's kind of easier to use those terms, right? So, and as humans, we tend to go for the easier things. So basically, someone who is always they have a little OCD is everywhere. That's the normal thing. So someone who is neat, right? Maybe neat to the extent that they make other people uncomfortable about it. So it's easy for them to say, oh, I have OCD, instead of saying, oh, I can't.
I'm just a neat person.
Do you get? So, and in the real sense of it, OCD is a big deal, right? It's a very big deal because it's obsessive compulsive. That's what the O and C is. So imagine being obsessively compulsive about something. It's like you have no control over it. Do you understand? So it's like, so when people say it, I don't know, I feel very somehow because only if they knew what OCD actually is, right? So maybe they wouldn't use that term. And then again, about people that use, okay, so another thing again is people always try to use the mental health term whenever maybe they're not up to something, or I don't know. I think it's just the easier thing, and then they're not well informed about these things, right? And other people are not even well informed too, so whoever they are talking to also assumes it's true.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So let's go into a bit of education, right? Let's go into a bit of education. you mentioned what OCD is, obsessive compulsive disorder, right? That is when you are. Could you explain a bit more what that is?
So let's use. Okay, so now there are people that are compulsive about neatness. It could be anything, right? But let's use what everybody knows. It could be neatness. So if you have OCD, right? So you're trying to be neat to the extent that it's causing you a lot of things, a lot of life problems. You can't go about your day-to-day activities without having issues. So an OCD person can wash their hands throughout the day.
Say that again.
They can wash their hands throughout the day to the extent that they have like scars or something, and they still keep washing their hand.
And that is a real thing.
That is a real thing.
Okay, so to shed a bit more light into this, I only ever heard of, or I only ever had someone whose sister was an OCD patient, and from what she was saying, I visited her house. It was sometime in uni. Don't ask me why or who she is, but I went to her house or what we're doing, right? Right. Well, I went to her house, and we were just like chilling, right? And I think, I don't know, I stepped out to get something or something just happened, and she explained that she stayed with her sister, and I think I took water, right? I didn't return the cup back to the way it was, and she snapped at me. She's not the OCD patient. She's her sister. She knows that if her sister comes, that's like it's dead on arrival, right? And for me to get that kind of reaction from somebody who isn't an OCD patient to I think it just kind of shares more light to what, because right now we just want to quickly, and I get it. We as young people, or generally human beings, want to identify with some set of individuals, right? Now imagine that there's like a unique group of individuals on the internet that their flaws are accepted, all in all, right, without questioning. Because when you throw in that, I have OCD or I have autism, I'll talk about autism in a bit. I have OCD or I have autism.
My zodiac sign.
By default, you cannot question it, because you would seem like a horrible human being if you say, okay, tell me about autism, or what is autism. If you are not well aware, like there's a level to it. If you know of it, but you just don't know too much, you just say, this person. It's just like you hear of a very fancy name, and you're like, okay, because you don't want to say the name and run the risk of twisting your tongue, right? So and all of this is to say that because of people don't often question things like mental health, we are quick to saying that, okay, this is what is doing me. Ask an average Nigerian, how are you doing? How is your mental health? They'll say it's in the dustbin. How do you know? Because, and the funny thing is, let's even talk about.
I'm depressed.
Bro, let's talk about self. What is it called? Diagnosis. Right? People diagnosing themselves something. You know how you can tell yourself, your body, obviously, you know that, when something is wrong with your body, most likely something is wrong. And you know that, okay, perhaps it's malaria. If you have some illnesses from before, you know that, okay, this is what I am prone to. And I know that, this particular thing I must not see, I must not see ice cream. It's dead or whatever. I must not see. Some people actually have low blood sugar and high blood sugar. So it's understandable, right? I get that. We could try and self-diagnose. Yeah. You see what I said about the names? We can try and self-diagnose ourselves for physical stuff. But emotional stuff, there is no meter. There is no something. You just know that, I'm not feeling okay, so I must be depressed. Okay. And then I see a depressed person chunking down food. You're chunking down amala. And you're saying, no, you eat when you're stressed. You're mad.
But that's to your side of depression.
I understand. But because of, there is no...
I totally get you.
There is no way in which you can know.
There are actually, if you're well informed, right? So, and people don't want to talk to professionals. That's the problem. Okay, so basically, like, you can't have a bad day and say I'm depressed. I mean... Things don't work like that. We can have bad days and that's fine. Do you understand? Okay. You can be stressed out. Doesn't mean you have an anxiety problem. You can have anxiety before an exam. Does not mean you have a problem. Although all these things are normal. Do you get? But then again, there are signs that okay, most of the times, most of these things, when it begins to affect your day-to-day activity, your relationship with people, your sleep and all these things, then you know that you need to talk to somebody.
Okay.
So if you have anxiety to the point that you're not able to do the things you used to do,
Okay.
you have a problem.
So we've mentioned three popular things, right? One, we mentioned OCD. We've talked a bit on OCD. We've talked a bit on. She just mentioned anxiety, and I've talked briefly on autism. Right? We're going to go into all of that in a second. Just please stick around, okay? Now, let me ask you. Right? We talked about diagnosis. I mean, Jesus, please. If you judge me, I'll swear for you. If you judge me, I'll go. Okay. To be very honest, right? Let's talk about people diagnosing themselves, in some form of depression or mental illnesses, right? Now, I'm sure you must have heard of clinical depression, right? Now, there's depression. Do you know what it means to be clinically depressed? For you to go to a clinic and say you have to be taking antidepressant, and all of that it's just like you're taking post-pregnancy pill. Don't ask me how I know. If you ask me, I just know it. I just know it.
I was going to ask.
If you ask me, that's on you. I study well. I do my research well, is what I will tell you. Right? Now, if you're taking post-pregnancy pill, for people who don't know post-pregnancy pill is, you don't want to burn, so you take that pill.
I didn't know.
Right?
Okay.
You're welcome. So when I've heard or I've read on people, females, because I don't know why you're going to be taking a post-pregnancy pill as a guy. I've heard of females who say they feel bloated for some period, or it messes up with their cycles, or it affects their hormones. And these are the effects that antidepressants have, right? For you to go to a clinic and they tell you, oh, you are depressed, avoid this, avoid that. Just know that now your own case is different. And I want you to talk a bit about clinical depression.
Okay, so...
And the difference between the regular Nigerian depression. Because, see, let's not lie. I'm even going to be empathetic towards the average young Nigerian.
Okay.
And this might sound a bit redundant, but low-key, we did depressed though.
Yes, and that's the problem. So the actual people that are even depressed might not know it. They can smile every day. They can smile at you every day. They can be very normal when they come outside, but they are very depressed.
So, okay.
And most of them don't come out to say I'm depressed. They don't shout it. You get so most people that shout, I'm not saying that those that shout it are or are not. You get, but I'm saying that we have a lot of people that have mental health issues in Nigeria, we don't know because
could you just in bullet points say a bit of things that people could look out for. And although I know our brain is very quick to point in our patterns that may not even exist, but then what are some things that we just know that something is probably wrong with me? Okay,
so first, if you're sad, that's fine. You should be sad from time to time. But then if you're sad over time, you get like that this sadness is not usual.
Okay.
So you just feel it and it's very deep. It's coming from a very deep place. Again, if you don't enjoy the things you used to enjoy, like imagine Adora not enjoying music anymore. Okay, so something of that nature.
I wanted to say something more, but then I realized that there's a video and it's going, so I'd rather not.
Okay, so something of that nature, something you used to enjoy, you don't like to hang out as much as. Why some other people hang out more to hide what they feel. So it just depends. So if you're losing appetite or eating too much, it will go both ways. Do you get?
Okay.
So if you're having all of these things and they've lasted for quite some time, right?
How long is some time?
Okay. How long is some time? Let's say if you're feeling these things maybe for over a month, it could be any time before you talk to somebody. Do you get? So the person can now tell you, oh, I think this is what's happening or something of that nature. But if it's happened to you for over a month, I think you should get help.
See, consult your doctor.
Get help. It's very easy to get help these days. They have a lot of free consultations.
We're gonna talk about that, and I'm gonna put you on the spot at one point. But
oh wow!
Yeah. It's a new thing.
Ready.
You're ready.
Okay.
You're ready. So I like that you've talked a bit about clinical depression, right? Now,
And then, sorry, I missed something.
okay.
Okay, so for some people, there are people that they are more prone than others. Now, it's family genetics. Do you get?
Are you saying that you
If
can
your
pass
great
down
if your great grandfather
was depressed?
was depressed, there's a possibility that you're prone to be depressed as well. Is that funny?
It's not supposed to be okay. I'm sorry. I'm
Okay.
sorry. That was a very wrong emotion. This is a very serious conversation.
Yeah, it's
Right.
a
This
safe
is
space.
this is not to invalidate whatever anybody is feeling.
It's just
Please.
lighten the mood.
Yeah. And also, maybe I am the one that I'm depressed and I cope everything with sarcasm. But yeah, I think that can make sense, passing down. So please and please, if you feel depressed and you are thinking, it is what it is, because that's like the average thing that a guy will tell you, it is what it is. I'll just sleep. I'll go and hear music.
I'll
Or
eat.
I'll go and press breast and I'm good. Right. Understand that you may be putting generations at risk. Right. So you need to talk to somebody at one point. Right. Now, let's talk autism. And this is a personal experience. I have a very good friend of mine. But she says that she's not my friend yet. I don't know, don't worry. That's a personal. We're going to get, something that people don't know about me is I have a life. You understand? Unlike some of you Twitter warriors, I have a life. I try to talk to people from time to time. So yeah, I have a very good friend of mine. She's autistic. The first time I ever witnessed an episode, we're at an NYC gathering. I don't know what they call that thing anymore. Like CDS. Thank you very much.
Really? How many
CDS.
years ago? Oh, please.
Why you gotta be so much of a hater, bro? So CDS, and she was having an episode, and I did not know how to react because I'd never witnessed it before. Right? She was like, imagine someone having. I don't want to make it graphic, so I'm looking for having, like, you're just shivering, like you are so anxious that your body is vibrating, right? And we could not process what was wrong. Everybody was confused. We did not know what to do. Up until even adults in the CDS location. And it was so weird that she had to excuse herself, right? And autism has a terrible scale. And when I say a terrible scale, it just has a scale. It's spectrum. Yeah. Thank you very much. It has a spectrum. So for autistic people, some people don't get jokes, right? Some people, they take things too literal, right? For some people, they just get anxious. They don't understand emotions. Look Sheldon. Yeah. I want to say perhaps he was an autistic child. If you don't know Sheldon from Big Bang Theory. Doesn't know how to process emotion. When he's happy, the person looks like he's sad, right? So that is
in a particular order.
Yeah. So for me experiencing that was a different light, and I've come to see, because prior to then, if you tell me that you're autistic, I look at it like, bro, that's like some white people shit, bro. Like, first time that I think I told you now that first time that you say you're in therapy, you're like, bro, that's like white people shit. What the fuck is your problem? Like, bro.
And I was like, oh, this guy is mean.
No, I'm being serious, because I've never heard of anybody in my life up until I know of one person that they said they had a few sessions, but in my life I've never heard of. I can count like on one hand the number of my friends that has gone to therapy. Right? Is it because therapy is cost? Because I heard that one session can go as high as 50K.
Good.
I want to be doing. How long is one session? Let's be honest.
Okay. Yes. Therapy is not. I don't want to say it's expensive. I don't want to use that word, right? But it's not cheap.
So meaning that. So wait, the common person that Burna Boy sang about. Listen to me. Common people that Burna Boy sang about, they cannot afford.
No. Okay, so the thing is, I've said this before. Now, a lot of people in Nigeria, a lot of young people are working towards breaching that gap, right? So the truth is, first of all these things we are saying therapy is not cheap. The thing is, if you're open-minded about it, you're going to pay that money. Do you get? It's not like as far as all of them are
Bro,
not as far as 50K.
bro. Let me be
How
the
much do people
antagonist
spend in
here.
the hospital?
Bro, chill.
What are you saying?
Chill. Some of us not even ever go hospital before. No,
Really
they want
now?
yourself. Yeah, for real.
But anyways, where I was going to is that there are people that offer free mental health services. Do you get? So you cannot actually start from there. So people actually start from there and they liked it and then they start paying for it. Do you understand? So I used to do a lot of free mental health service.
Before now. So now
Before
you're already
now,
kind of
do you
hey,
get?
God.
I mean now.
Okay, let
Okay.
me. Okay. If I wanted to say, if I say, okay, I want you to be my therapist, would you consider
I'll
me?
think about it.
Come on. You don't want yourself. You don't go. Okay, I'm just joking. Just to lighten the mood. But yeah, I think that makes sense. That
So
makes
they
sense.
have a lot of free, but I don't think Nigerians are open-minded enough, right? Okay, so now this might interest you, but when I start offering paid sessions, in fact, like the first 3 clients I actually had were not Nigerians.
What were they, like Africans or?
Not okay. They're Nigerians, but not living in Nigeria. Do you understand?
Okay, so you had a Zoom session for.
So it could be anything. It could be however they are comfortable. So I'm just trying to let you know that I've been screaming about mental health. Do you get? And I'm just trying to explain that Nigerians are not very open-minded about it, right? But now it's actually surprising. There are a lot of people subscribing to it, like especially the free sessions. Do you get?
All right, so
yeah.
2 things, right? 2 things. Let me give you a free. You're not gonna hear it anywhere on the internet. It's just here.
Okay.
Understand? So make sure you get your notepad ready. Maybe you want to screen record and post it. Jot things down. Now let me wear my therapist glasses.
Okay.
If you are a female and you feel the need to want to converse with a therapist, think no further. A femi is near you. All you just need to do is just pick one of the femis that wants to chat to you, that wants to do 1 or 2 things with you, and then converse. You will be surprised the level of patience this femi will have, because he knows that there's light at the end of the tunnel. So femi would listen to you, be patient with you. He would even offer you free solicited advice without having to pay for Chika's rates. So that is tip number 1. It also goes the other way too, but it's very rare to see a female really like a guy that much, because females already used to have options. But guys, don't fret. Chika's here for you, right? Although I don't like to be sharing out. Maybe on Tuesday you can have her, but the rest of the week.
Really now?
But to be very serious, right? And I said I wanted to put you on the spot. Is this something that you can do, that you can, have a few free sessions courtesy of the podcast? People, just reach out to you. Maybe put a number to it and say, okay, you're going to say dedicate this. I know it's a business.
Why did you not tell me before?
I know, because if I tell you before, it's going to ruin the on the spot thing.
Okay. Let me look at your face.
Come on now. If you look at my face, you're not going to want to take other clients. So
Okay. Because of the podcast, right? So yeah, that's fine. That's okay.
Okay. How would you put a number to it? Because obviously, if something that is free, people don't usually value it. So I want to at least first these people that does that and that.
Okay, you can put the number.
I should put the number myself.
Adora. Put a reasonable number. Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, let me say 10. That's too much. Okay, let's do this.
I'm not that free.
Chill. Let's do this. 10, but I am 6. And 4 other people.
Okay, that works.
Look at you. Goodbye. All right. But seriously though, you've heard it here. This is how it's going to be, right? We're trying to grow our mailing list. So, the first 5 people, we're going to be monitoring it after the episode drop. So the first 5 new sign-ups, because obviously we cannot. You are what's it called? You are a landlord of the podcast. We need to get more people on board, but we're going to find a workaround. If you DM me, even if you have subscribed before, and you DM me that okay, DM the podcast, because I'm not the podcast. DM the podcast that I want to be eligible. And this is a very serious thing. So if you can open up to why you think you need this, because you cannot
Don't
just
open up too much. Or he's
don't
not your therapist.
please,
Don't.
because if you open up to me, I feel go get traumatic experience from your own traumatic experience. So I beg, understand. But genuinely, we don't want the hospital, like Chris Rock said, we don't want the hospital to be filled with, or the emergency room to be filled with people that has paper cuts, when people that then need the real help can't get it, because some of you motherfuckers are, this is in quotes, so I'm not calling
On a light note.
yeah. I'm not calling you guys that. So this is just to explain that the severity of the situation. The jokes and the sarcasm and everything is to kind of not, make this entirely boring, because it's a real issue that we're talking about here. It's people's lives. People actually commit suicides, right? And in Nigeria, right? Like the first time I heard, I was like, bro, but then you don't know.
People still make jokes out of it.
That's okay. See, us Nigerians, I believe we're accustomed to some level of hardship. So the best way in which we cope is to laugh about. See, I've heard people go through the nastiest thing on Instablog and go and see there's going to be a bastard that's going to make a very insensitive joke. And
very scary.
It is.
Scary.
But, and people are going to kiki about it sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't advise it. I would think about, I'm not saying I would not think about the joke, but I don't think I would go as far as like chatting the joke. It's a very, very serious thing. But that's it. Now let's go to the next phase. We're coming to an end. The episode is coming to an end soon. So let's talk about emotions and mental illnesses or mental health basically. Do you think how you feel affects your mental health? It's a 3-in-1 question.
Okay.
So do you want me to ask the three at once?
Okay, let's take it bit by bit.
Okay, so let's take it bit by bit. The first one, do you think how you feel affects your mental health?
Okay. Definitely how you feel affects your mental health, right? But then another thing again is, if you're mentally aware and emotionally aware, you shouldn't, because everything you feel is not true.
Okay.
You get? So you could there's something we call cognitive distortions, right? So there are things that your mind makes you believe that are not true. So it can create a particular feeling and it affects everything about you. Do you get? So that's why you can watch a movie, it's not real, but you're crying. Why? Do you get?
That's actually very.
So it's not real, but somehow you find yourself crying. Do you get? So that's what happens when some of these cognitive distortions happen. So for instance, something little happens and you're like, oh God, I'm dead. I'm not useful. Like I can't. That you can be useful. But you're just saying it because that's the easy thing to say. And after that, it affects your mood and it affects every other thing. And just like that, you could feel really sad. And so that's basically. So how you feel definitely affects your mental health.
Okay, so that's the first part. Now the next level is, do you think how people feel about you affects your mental health?
Of course it does. But you're still in control of that as well. Do you get? So if you're the type that... So we have people that are perfectionists, which is a very bad thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So they want everything to be perfect and all those things. And we have people that are really worried about what people would say. So that could cause anxiety. Yeah. So if you're always worried about what people say, how do I look? How am I going to get? I mean, a little bit of that is fine.
Let me bring this up. You obviously you cannot be talking about something serious, and I'm not banting about it. So let's do a bit of banter. Now, chicks, come closer. That thing that I used to do when you say, "Oh, I think this girl makes my stomach look fat," or I look fat, and I'm like, bro, you're fat. I'm here. That makes two of us fat. What's the problem? Because if you're fat, and this is not to slander anybody, right? This is just to say that I think sometimes we feel some type of way. Even people feel some type of way about us, and it's pretty much normal, right? Because you're not jollof rice. Even the same jollof rice that is even pleasing everybody. There's Ghana jollof and there's Nigerian jollof. So I think it's only reasonable that as much as you cannot control what people think about you, you can control how you take that and how that affects your day. And it comes with a lot of practice. You
Yeah,
don't just
you have
wake
to be
up.
intentional. It's not easy.
You have to
be intentional.
like my guy will say, and sometimes like I say to myself, you delude yourself to feeling good. Sometimes it's not a good thing, but it works, right? You just look at them like, oh, but everything is falling apart.
It takes a lot of practice, right? So you have to do it, and you're like, oh, I'm doing this again. Okay, snap out of it.
Exactly, right? And you have to. For me, something that I know, and you've know if you've listened to the podcast this long, or you've known me at all personally or online. No matter how serious the thing is, I will laugh, and it affects me to the point in which I'm quoting Thanos to my boss. Like I'm quoting Thanos. Do you know how messed up that could have been, right? But he also laughed, so that works.
You were just lucky.
Yeah, right. but there's a joke in stand-up comedy that it's sometimes the funniest thing that you have to say is the meanest thing. You just have to make sure that the meanest thing that you're saying is more funny than it is mean. Because if it is mean and it's not funny, they'll just look at it that you are trying too hard, or you are just trying to insult people to look funny. But if it is mean and then funny, people in that particular category that you are insulting will laugh, and it's going to be empowering.
Nice.
I just dropped.
Hope you're writing.
Drop things down. But yeah, the final part.
Okay,
the final part.
Third one.
Now, I've asked, does how you feel affect your emotional intelligence? Does how people feel about you affect your emotional intelligence? Let's circle back to the first one, but in a different light, which is, does heartbreak, not just how you feel like normally,
like
stuff like you say if you know me,
I just wanted to be sure.
Okay, so like heartbreak, grief is actually very serious. So let's talk about a bit heartbreak.
Okay.
I would say heartbreak is less serious. And I'm going to deviate in it now. I'll come back to that in a second. Do you know how there is nothing in this life that is set up for heartbreak, like to make you feel better? Like when you are going through heartbreak, bro, there is nothing that, like, there's, say for example it's grief that you're going through, people are going to be around you, someone just died. But imagine you are crying as a guy and you say, okay, well, this babe just break my heart now. He leave me. They will look you like, you be scrapped now,
I already seem to be talking from your heart.
Yes, now, bro. If you're a guy and you have not been trolled for being heartbroken, you're not a guy. Shout out to Ade. Shout out to Adeola. That's a guy. It's weird for one of the most masculine people that I know. His name is Adeola. Shout out to Adeola. Shout out to Jumo. Shout out to Razak. These people, Tony. Then they served me breakfast that year. Oh God. Razak was up in my face, bro. Because before the breakfast, she was like, oh, she wanted space. Razak was already telling me, it's coming. It's coming. Don't worry. Calm down. So I think for guys, there is nothing to prepare you to soften your heartbreak blow. Like, and
you're
your
even
friends
sad
are
that
making,
you're feeling that way. That's even the height of, you're like, oh, I feel this way. Why would I feel this way?
Right. Right. And I guess this is just to say that, tough love. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Chicks plenty for the bro. Don't worry, get your bag up. Then stunt on these niggas. Stunt on them, bro. Like, the reason I'm not going to the gym yet is because if I start, your women is gone. Your women are gone. So I'm doing you a service. Because if I hit the gym, I'm going to be doing you guys a disservice. So thank me later. But yeah, let's get back to heartbreak and everything. Yeah. So does heartbreak make you feel? Does it affect your emotion? Does it affect your mental health? Grief, loss of somebody close to you. And heartbreak is not just for people in relationship. I've experienced heartbreak. I said this before one time that I experienced heartbreak for a friend of mine that we're no longer friends. Till tomorrow, it pains me that we're no longer friends because we used to do some things in uni that he was like, bro, I wish we still do it now. But that's some form of heartbreak. But if I tell my guys that, they'll be like, oh, that's gay, bro. What the fuck? Right? I had to say that off camera because off the mic because I'm not trying to slander nobody, right? But yeah, do you think that all of that affects mental health?
Yeah, of course it does. Like a lot, right? More than we can admit. So, and the thing is, people feel like you're supposed to act in a particular way, which is absolutely wrong. right? You're like, he's just heartbreak now. When I was heartbroken, and that's what Nigerians do a lot. Your own is small. I'm like, no,
They compare
don't do
suffering.
that. You get like, your own is even small. My own, you get, and you have no right to tell someone how to feel about something, right? So someone is heartbroken and you feel like they're overreacting. That's very wrong. So now you see that they have to hide to cry. You get. So I know a lot.
Talk now, talk.
Used to hide.
Me, I can tell you categorically
that
I can count with my hands the number of times I've cried in my adult life.
Is that healthy?
It is freaking healthy. So.
Okay, please, it's healthy to
The
cry.
only time that I
cry
cried,
if you have to.
The only time I crowed, and I'm just saying it one time, was something personal. It wasn't even affecting me. It affected someone that I was close to.
Okay.
And it's just like someone tell you something, and then a lot of things were starting to make sense, and how you have been insensitive. So we crowed together. So it's not that we crowed together. So, but this was long ago. Niggas don't, you understand? I don't do none of that shit, bro. What are you saying, fam?
Please cry if you have to. Thank you. Anyway, so heartbreak is quite serious, right? Because as long as it affects everything you have to do, it goes as far as people losing interest in what they have to do. So if you're not careful, you can get depressed from heartbreak. If you're not careful, you can begin to see yourself as less. It can lead to a lot of things if you're not careful, right? So it depending on the situation of the heartbreak, some heartbreak will make you to start having low self-esteem, right? Some heartbreak make people become who they are not. They're like, oh, I'm a bad nigga now, so do you get? So they've not processed their emotions fully, so they feel like this is a way to defend.
I don't really agree with what you said, though, because some of us are already we're in our villain era. Understand? We have seen so much shaggy that, you know what? Nah, screw this. I'm gonna stunt on this niggas.
If you don't process your emotions, it's going to haunt you. Do you get? So that's basically true. Okay. If you don't process your emotions, but then again, you don't tell people how to feel, and that will bring me to grief, right? So some people say there are steps of grief.
I like this. That's the coldest. That's the coldest insult somebody can tell you. Just like you're saying, oh, somebody's insulting you. Someone is acting some type of way. And you're like, oh, that's the final stage of grief. You're in acceptance now.
It drives me crazy. Like, who said that?
Oh, that shit is. I'm not gonna lie. It's mean.
That's the acceptance.
It's mean, but it's very cold. Like, it's like, nah. It's just like, I think the tweet that I saw was a girl was trying to get over her ex. And she tweeted something that, I've grown from my ex. Can you call my ex was a toxic person? The guy just quoted the tweet. You're on the 5th stage of grief.
Oh my god,
bro, that was cold, bro. That was freaking cold. I'm not even gonna lie. Oh my god. But yeah, I just
so there's
get
absolutely
that.
nothing like that, right? So you just grieve how you know how to.
Interesting.
Or how you want to. So some people don't cry immediately. Some people cry later on, and that's fine, right? So. There's really no stage to all those things. Just talk to somebody.
So two things, right? And I'd like to piggyback from what you said about people invalidating other people's emotions, or comparing them. See, the thing is, and this is going to I might get cancelled from this particular thing. So because Yaz is cool at doing all of that stuff. So I would say that two truths can exist, and if we can have peace with that statement that two truths can exist, two polar opposite truths can exist, we're going to avoid a ton of argument. Hey, my Yoruba person wanted to come out. Avoid. We want to avoid that particular a particular set of fights, because people say that, okay, when you are feeling something, when you say you are angry, right?
Yeah.
You expect the world to react. Like, you're expecting some sort of reaction, especially if, say, your friend is asking you, how are you doing? You expect your friends should act some type of way. And if they don't act that type of way, you get more angry, right? That happens. That is a level of awareness that I've seen anyways. Now, because of this person did not act the way you want them to act, does not necessarily mean that they do not sympathize with you, or they do not even feel you, or they're invalidating your opinion. Or for example, if you are like really mad, or you are really sad, and somebody is trying to make you feel better or trying to offer solution. This is a very common example, right? People want to feel stuff, especially females want to feel stuff on this hand. On the other hand, an average guy is, once there's a problem, let me solve it, because once I have solved this problem, I cannot be feeling this terrible again. But a woman wants to, let me feel sad, let me cry, let me take my time, I'll wake up tomorrow morning and I'll solve it. A guy is like, just stop crying and let's solve this thing. Now, these are two things. Now, if a guy is trying to say, stop crying, let's solve this problem, it's not invalidating your crying. It's just saying, this crying will stop when the problem has been solved. Right? Now, you do not expect the world to bend to your will because you are feeling some type of way. The saddest thing ever, that I may not even understand the severity of this statement up until I get to some point in my life, is that life goes on. No matter how terrible it has hit you, people are going to wake up tomorrow morning and act as though something terrible did not just happen to you. And it's crazy. I know.
It is. Which is why you have to look for the people that their job is to do that.
Why you dey market yourself?
No, that's the truth. That's the truth. You get, so you don't have to feel bad when things. Okay, this is unrelated a bit, but this different. So so something happened a few days ago. So some people are now like, oh, so you see the support this person is getting. You will never support your family and friends and all those things. And I was like, the entitlement people feel is crazy, right? Because they're not even your target audience in the first place. So you didn't start this thing because of your family and friends. And if you don't get some kind of expected support, that's still fine, right? You just do your thing and are you okay?
Me?
Yes. I feel like you just do your thing and be resilient, do your best and all those things. So you don't have to feel bad about what you expect from people. I mean, you can feel sad, but let it not affect your whole mood and all that.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. Chika, this means plenty. She came all the way from, the other side of Lagos. She literally had to travel to have this episode. It means plenty more than you realize. I just want to close on this note that please, if you have people that are going through terrible things, sometimes I think it's best to just be there for them, because even us, we don't know what to say to make you feel better, especially because we don't know. We've never experienced it before, and it might be alien to us, right? I think your existence and your listening here could be something, right? Thank you. If you listen this far, please try as much as possible to take a screenshot and share on your social media platforms, your Instagram story, your Twitter timeline, your WhatsApp status. Share this particular episode with one of your friends. Have conversation on this regard. There's please don't miss the freebie that Chika would be having people to speak with. And they're already ringing me. I have a meeting. That's how I'm trying to end this podcast. I'm sorry. Happy birthday, Hannah. Today's Hannah's birthday. I know it's gonna be weeks after, but we love you. You mean so much to us. Have a beautiful one, yeah?